All right, so step one. So we ship Jada with a little bit of air inside the cervical seal. So we want to grab the syringe in the kit and go ahead and pull it out, pull the air out of the cervical seal. So grab the syringe and evacuate the air. The reason we do that is these are handmade in Arizona, and gets cold sometimes, so we want to make sure the silicone doesn't stick to itself. So rather than ship it like this, we put it with a little bit of air in it. So then we hand it to a provider. This is 100% provider placed and removed. I'm gonna do a right-handed demonstration. We want Jada to go in at the 12 o'clock position, so we want Jada to go in like this. So a physician will grab their middle finger and thumb and collapse it, then use their index finger for guidance to go into the patient as such. They could grab a ring forceps and place it, so grabbing a ring forceps and then place it like this if they wanted. Again, doing that manual sweep to get out any large blood clots. So we don't want to have large blood clots or any accreta, any retained products or anything like that. So they'll place it through the vagina, through the cervix, up against the ostium. So that's kind of resting in the vagina. While they're doing that, we have two nurses hopefully in the room. The first nurse is going to grab your 120 cc's of sterile saline or sterile fluid. So for this, let's pretend there's already 60 in there. So my demonstration, we only need to do 60. So this is our second syringe. And what I'm doing here, there's a tube within this tube that's filling this balloon up. So the physician will have their fingers in the patient, making sure the balloon's in the right spot, positioning it up against the ostium. They'll then take their finger and go around the balloon to make sure we have an airtight seal, feeling for blood, bubbles, air, anything like that. So if we don't have an airtight seal, Jada will not work. So we want to make sure we have an airtight seal. After they do that, at the same time, another nurse is grabbing the tube we provide, hooking up our wall suction, setting it to 80 millimeters of mercury, continuous suction, not intermittent, hooking our tubing up into our canister, bringing it around to the end of the bed. Setup takes about 1 minute and 48 seconds. So from the time a physician asks for Jada to active vacuum, on average in our clinical trial was 1 minute and 48 seconds. Keep an eye on my uterus for the visual. Obviously not a real uterus, but it gives you the idea of contracting on the uterus. So we can claim in our clinical trial that the uterus will get firm as fast as 1 minute. The median time of 3 minutes to controlling the hemorrhage and creating tone. You will see a blood output. So blood will start to evacuate almost immediately. Our average output was 100 mLs, 100 to 110. This tubing is 12 feet long. It holds 110 mLs. So on average, we filled up this tube with blood. It's based on how much blood she has in her uterus. So again, you just did a sweep, so a lot of blood just came out. So don't expect a ton of blood. A lot of people with Bakri, they see blood and they think the canister is going to fill it up. If you have 200 in here, you might have 100 in the tube and 100 in the canister. But I hear cases all the time where blood stops here or stops here. It's almost impossible to predict. So it's just you don't necessarily need a ton of blood out. What we're looking for is two things: funnel checks for a firm uterus and blood to stop advancing. Once blood stops advancing and you have a firm uterus, you've established tone. Once she's established tone, we just leave her on active vacuum for minimum 1 hour. Our average time in our clinical trial on active vacuum was 2 to 3 hours. It's up to the physician how long she stays on active vacuum. Our maximum time, according to our IFU, is 24 hours. The only reason you'd go that high is if a patient denied blood products due to religious reasons, and we just want to leave her on a little bit longer. So we typically say if she's started to lose more blood, so if for some reason her QBL was 3,000, we might want to leave her on a little bit longer. But again, it's up to the physician how long she stays on, 1 to 24 hours, with 2 to 3 being the most common time on vacuum. And then after 1 hour on vacuum, we take her off vacuum and we bring the cervical seal down. So evacuate all 120 cc's of sterile saline or sterile fluid. And then we do a 30-minute observation with Jada inside mom. We tape Jada to mom's inner thigh because the cervical seal actually holds Jada in place. And if we didn't tape it, it'd fall onto the ground. And what we're doing now is just doing a 30-minute observation to get air into that uterus to see if that uterus is actually going to behave how we want it to see if it's truly established tone, to make sure there's not a laceration, make sure there's no clotting, make sure there's undiagnosed accreta, make sure nothing else is going on inside that uterus. Because the next step is, after 30 minutes, a physician will come in and hold the fundus and pull the Jada out, and mom will move on to the next stage of her delivery. That's good.